Welcome to the Explainer. Let's just jump right in. After a historic ultimate victory is won, what happens next? Today we're diving into a source text that explores a really fascinating transition. It looks at the ancient historical triumph of Christ on the cross and connects it directly to the active purpose it outlines for believers today. What's so cool about how the author structures this argument is that it literally forces you, the reader, to reconcile past events with your present actions.
So the text grounds itself in this super provocative question. Think about it. If the ultimate work is already done, if the debt is paid, the sentence is served, and the battle is won, what exactly are followers left here to do? I mean, if the defining moment of history has already happened, how does that translate into an everyday mission for you and me?
To answer that, the source argues we actually have to look backward first. Section 1, it is finished. The core argument here is that you really can't figure out where you're going until you truly understand what was accomplished in the past. According to the text, Jesus used the Greek word Tetelestai. Now, this wasn't just some simple throwaway statement at the end of a life. The text highlights how this single word carried massive, multi-layered weight in ancient society. It was a profound declaration, one that actually echoed across several different aspects of daily life back then.
The text breaks this down into three distinct areas of ancient culture, which is pretty fascinating. First, from a business standpoint, Tetelestai literally meant a financial debt was paid in full, done. Judicially, it meant a legal sentence was served to absolute completion. And then from a military perspective, it was the specific cry declaring that a battle was won in great triumph. The text points out that this one specific word brilliantly encompasses all three: a spiritual debt paid, a sentence fully served, and the ultimate battle won.
But despite this absolute triumph, the source hits us with a really tough challenge. In the daily grind, is it easy to forget what's already been taken care of? Do we forget the debt is paid? Do we forget the sentence is served? Do we forget the battle is won? The author suggests that it's incredibly easy for us to completely lose sight of these historical victories when we're bogged down in our own everyday struggles.
And that brings us to Section 2, the reality of doubt. The text notes a very relatable human conflict here. If the battle is historically won, why is there such a massive disconnect when it comes to our daily peace of mind? Like, why does skepticism persist even when a victory is declared absolutely secure?
The data presented here is actually quite striking. 1 Corinthians states that Jesus was seen alive by over 500 people simultaneously after the resurrection. That's a huge crowd. Yet, incredibly, Matthew's gospel notes that even some of the disciples who went to Galilee and saw him face to face still doubt it. The source uses this to show that simply seeing something with your own eyes didn't instantly cure all of their skepticism.
When he appeared to the terrified disciples, he didn't condemn them for their fear. Instead, the text highlights that he offered physical proof. He even asked for a piece of broiled fish to eat right in front of them, just to calm their troubled minds and prove he was really there in flesh and bone. It's a remarkably practical, grounded response to human panic.
We see this deep skepticism perfectly echoed by Thomas, who flat out refused to believe without tangible evidence. I mean, his standard was incredibly high. He required physical touch, specifically needing to feel the nail marks himself just to overcome his uncertainty.
The source uses this moment to brilliantly illustrate a deep sense of divine empathy. It points out that Jesus returned a full week later, specifically to meet Thomas right in the middle of his doubt. He addresses the skepticism head-on rather than just dismissing it. He invites Thomas to run his hands over the evidence, gently guiding him from doubt to belief. Having addressed the reality of our human doubt and internal struggles, the text moves to a direct answer for that central question we started with. Now what? This brings us to Section 3, the Great Commission. Here, the text outlines a crystal-clear mission for followers. They are commissioned to go, share their testimony, and baptize others. The author really stresses that the main action verb here is go, meaning followers aren't supposed to just sit around comfortably in the knowledge of a historical victory. Instead, they are called to actively share it with the rest of the world. But to actually fulfill this mission, the source clarifies what's being asked. Section 4, what is a disciple? Because to make disciples, you really have to first understand what that identity even entails. The author points out a totally fascinating linguistic and practical link here. Being a disciple requires discipline. It argues that you just cannot separate the identity of a disciple from the daily self-control and order required to follow those teachings. It's an active, daily training by instruction.
Now, to maintain that kind of discipline, the text introduces the concept of empowerment. It states that through the Holy Spirit,
Believers are given a divine power that shifts the heavy lifting away from just raw human willpower. According to the source, this is exactly what allows followers to live out their faith every single day without shame and without hesitation.
Which brings us to Section 5. You are not alone. The source totally acknowledges that stepping into this kind of bold, disciplined mission might seem absolutely terrifying, but it strongly emphasizes that followers are entirely equipped for the task, and, crucial point here, they are not meant to do it in isolation. The text urges its readers not to let fear hold them back, highlighting a really powerful promise that God is actively with them on the journey. Remember that commission to go we talked about earlier? It's perfectly paired right here with the reassurance that they do not go alone, no matter what the destination is.
Even when facing massive uncertainty about the future, the source offers some much-needed reassurance. These plans are intentionally designed for good and for hope. It paints this incredibly comforting picture of stepping into a prescribed, supportive plan rather than just stepping out blindly into some chaotic void.
Connecting right back to that amazing concept of Tetelestai we started with, the author concludes that because the battle is already won, believers can trust that literally everything is working together for their ultimate good. The overarching premise here is super powerful. When the end of the story is secure, it profoundly changes how you live out the middle of it.
So, by establishing that the victory is secure, that human doubts are met with total understanding, and that the mission is fully supported, the text leaves its audience with one final provocative challenge. The battle is won. The debt is paid. Now what? According to this source, the only question left for you is, are you ready to go?